Hey up guys, so 2018 is officially behind us. I've already done a video looking at my top 10 best films of 2018. I'll pop a link up there for you if you want to see that. But yeah, it's time to talk about the worst films. In fact, the worst of the worst films, because let's face it, there was a lot of crap movies last year. I have not actually done a top 10 worst films list before on my channel because, as most of you know, I'm a positive person. In fact, I'm known for it. I get a lot of people saying that they like my reviews because I always manage to find the good in even the worst sort of films. But I've also got a lot of feedback from people saying that they really love it when I tear into a bad movie. So I thought, hey, why not do a top 10, see how you guys respond to it. So the films that featured on this list were the films that either angered me, severely disappointed me, or did the most sinful thing a film can do, and that is bore me. So yeah, there's a mix of films on here. You might agree with my choices, you might not. You know why? Because we're human, okay? We all react to things differently. These are just the top 10 films I saw this year which upset me the most, the ones that didn't agree with me at all. And yeah, if you do like any of the films on this list, that is amazing because you managed to find the good in something that I struggled with. But for me, the films that I list here are just the ones I really was repulsed by or didn't enjoy whatsoever. So yeah, kudos on you if you liked any of the films that I list here. But respect my opinion, I'll respect yours, okay? But before we get started, I would love to know what your 10 least favourite films of 2018 were. Please do let me know in that comment section below, okay? Some dishonourable mentions because, let's face it, there was a lot of crap this year and only 10 slots. So some dishonourable mentions include Gotti, Tomb Raider, Hunter Killer, Death Wish, Welcome Home, Slender Man, The Festival, and The Nutcracker and the Four Realms. Right, let's get started with number 10. Coming in at number 10 is the dreary, dull Red Sparrow. I'm always the first person to defend a Jennifer Lawrence film, but even I had trouble with this one. Red Sparrow actually had a few good things going for it. I really liked the opening scene, the cinematography was beautiful, and I really enjoyed the score as well by James Newton Howard. But as a spy film, it's just very long and very hollow. None of the characters held my attention, they were so one-noted, and even J-Lo looked bored in this film. Which is why this film is such a disappointment, because not even Jennifer Lawrence can save it. I remember being genuinely excited when I saw the trailer for Red Sparrow, but I came out of it just massively underwhelmed. Alright, so coming in at number 9 is a Netflix film, Cloverfield Paradox. I'll say one thing good about this film. The marketing strategy for this film was incredible. Somehow they managed to keep the production of this film a secret, and then they dropped the trailer for this at the Super Bowl and released it on Netflix the very next day. I mean, talk about a game changer. But the problem with this Cloverfield film is that it isn't a Cloverfield film until the last few minutes, and its tie into the Cloverfield franchise is flim-flam. Cloverfield Paradox is just a very jumbled sci-fi film, which is all over the place in terms of plot. The characters aren't that interesting, and it's not actually clear what is going on whilst the film unravels itself. And it's a film that just doesn't feel fully realised. The only thing this film had going for it was the surprise wow factor of how it was distributed. But the film itself, just a stinker. Again, it's another film with just loads of squandered potential. Right, so coming in at number 8, and we have a kids film, Peter Rabbit. Now, I know what some of you are probably thinking. Oh, this is a kids film, it's not aimed at you. Well, to that I say, hogwash. First of all, 3 kids films made it into my top 10 best films of 2018 list. Secondly, I grew up reading the Peter Rabbit books, so I am a target market. And thirdly, it is possible to take children's literature and make good cinematic stories out of them which appeal to kids and adults. Look at the Paddington series. Paddington 2 was a phenomenal film this year. However, Peter Rabbit though, Beatrix Potter must be spinning in her grave of what they've done to this character. Apart from the name Peter Rabbit, this film couldn't be further removed from the source material of which it's based on. As for faults, where do I begin? Firstly, James Corden as Peter Rabbit? Really? What a travesty pick. His Peter Rabbit is just lame. It's like a middle-aged person trying to appeal to today's youth, and it's just embarrassing. But this film, there are just so many eye-rolling moments. Multiple dance scenes where Peter Rabbit is bobbing along to pop songs. The film exploits allergies in order to make conflict. But what bothered me the most about this film is that it just feels so smug. Like, it feels like it's so much smarter than what it is, and I can't stand it when a film thinks it's cool, but it's clearly not. People were telling me to boycott this film on Twitter, and I really should have listened. Right, so moving on to number 7, and we have another kids film, and this time it is Johnny English Strikes Again. You ever sat through a film and you just can't stop checking your watch because you cannot wait to leave? That's how I felt watching Johnny English Strikes Again. This is a kids film, which not even kids can enjoy. I remember sitting in the cinema with lots of families and children, and not even the kids were laughing at Rowan Atkinson's buffoonery. It's got a bland supporting cast and the lamest villain I've seen all year. And there's barely any plot to it. It's just a bunch of random mishaps designed to showcase Atkinson's slapstick and physicality, but there's no thought or reason as to why these events link together. It's just a series of skits masquerading as some sort of plot. So it's very disjointed and sluggish viewing. And if it can't even make its target audience laugh, then Rowan Atkinson, I love you, but please retire Johnny English, okay? Not funny anymore. Okie dokie, moving on to number 6, and here we have a film that is currently sitting on a worldwide gross of 1.3 billion with a B dollars, and that is Jurassic Park Fallen Kingdom. This turgid, soulless mess of a film is the 12th highest grossing movie of all time. I sat through Fallen Kingdom and I remember saying to myself, how the hell did we end up here? Fallen Kingdom is dumb. The plot is ridiculous. Isla Nublar is going to explode, so we have to save all the dinosaurs by taking them back to the mainland. First of all, have you not learned your lesson from The Lost World? Bringing these creatures back to the mainland is never going to work. As Ian Malcolm says, life breaks free, it finds a way. And secondly, there is Site B, Isla Sorna, literally a short boat journey distance from Isla Nublar. Put them there where no one lives. Oh my god, it's so dumb. This film doesn't even address that. But no, bring the dinosaurs back to the mainland so cheesy, rich, stereotype characters can buy them to hunt them for sport or, keep them as pets. And these new Jurassic Park movies just keep pushing these hybrid dinosaur concoctions, and I just don't care for it. And the characters in the Jurassic World series are just so blah. Chris Pratt is not a character. Bryce Dallas Howard's character has a complete personality transplant from the previous film, and the rest of the supporting cast are just a bunch of annoying hipsters or detestable military types. And the little girl who turns out to be a clone? No! Nothing about this film is intelligent. If it didn't have the Jurassic Park franchise attached to it, it would just be disregarded as another dumb Sharknado-style disaster film. As Dr. Ian Malcolm would say, that is one big pile of shit. Right, here we are, top 5. And coming in at number 5 is a film that is so forgettable. I mean, actually forgettable. I did forget about this film. I nearly forgot to include it on this list because it was so meh. And that is Ava DuVernay's A Wrinkle in Time. The fantasy adventure of nothing. Like, what was this film about? It's just a bunch of bland, forgettable characters jumping from one visually beautiful location to another, and we don't even stop to appreciate these worlds that they take us to. I nearly dozed off watching this film, which is insane because this film is so bright. It's like radioactive fluorescent, and it couldn't hold my attention. I was gobsmacked by how boring this film was, which is surprising because there's so much great talent in it, including the director of Selma, Ava DuVernay, and then we've got Oprah Winfrey, Reese Witherspoon, and Mindy Kaling in front of the camera, and it feels like even they didn't know what they were doing here. It felt like it was gonna have something interesting to say, but it didn't. I mean, it was trying to say something about love, but even that was just so by the numbers and hokey and hollow. Such a disappointment. Moving on to number 4 is one that some people quite liked, but I just really disagree with this film, and that was Julius Avery's Overlord. This is another case of a movie getting my hopes up with a really exciting trailer where it looks like there's something original to be offered here, but after I left the cinema, I felt like I'd been cheated. I thought I was going to get a clever splice of war and horror, and yes, there is war and there is horror, but is it clever? No. Overlord is a basic, predictable jump scare fest with very little intelligence. There was potential here, but it takes the easy route with its seen it all before character development and story. Characters make loads of dumb choices which completely contradict what they already know, and they make these choices just to keep the plot moving. That is lazy writing. I don't like it. And people gave this movie a free pass because it has some exciting action in it. Sorry, action might be fun for a few minutes, but a fantastic script lasts forever. Overlord doesn't have that. Right, so top 3. What is going to take the bronze medal for my third worst movie of 2018? It's going to be the god-awful Slaughterhouse Rules, a comedy horror with no laughs and no scares. When your film can't even live up to the expectations of its genres, then you really have a problem. I think I finally know what the Z stands for in Slaughterhouse Rules, because I felt so sleepy during this film. That should have been my thumbnail now that I think about it. It should have just been me sleeping with a bunch of Z's above my head. Hashtag hindsight. This film was so sluggish to watch because there wasn't any plot to it. Demons come up through a hole in the ground at a fancy boarding school and the kids run away from it. That's it. There are so many talented actors in this film, but they're all held back by a piss-poor script, which doesn't give them any chance to show off their abilities or grow as characters. I didn't care about any of the characters in this film. It's all over the place with its plot, it's unsure and aimless in who its target audience is. There's just no real thought behind this film. It just feels like something that was rushed together in one night and they didn't give anything a second thought. And yeah, this film doesn't rule in the slightest. It was painful to watch. Right, boys and girls, so coming in at number 2 is the remake that literally nobody asked for. Robin Hood. Ugh, this film cost $100 million to make, and it's the kind of soulless, turgid remake that makes my blood boil. This film really infuriated me because it thought it was being original and fresh, but what it was really doing is cashing in on the superhero fad and turned a beloved character, Robin Hood, into an unkillable superhero. No, this film thinks it's something new and innovative when really everything that's new about it has been done before and done better. And everything that was new that they gave us was something that we didn't want. We didn't want a Robin Hood with a Batman Begins origin story. We didn't want the early noughties slow-mo stylized action. We didn't want a vapid love triangle. And we certainly didn't ask for a lack of consistency in every department. Literally nothing in this film works in tandem with anything else. It's just a hodgepodge of different styles and elements. And it tried to set itself up as a new franchise with future sequels in the pipeline, but the one thing that I can take away from this film that's positive is that it flopped big time, which shut down any chance of it becoming a franchise. Everything about Robin Hood just felt like an afterthought. It's just sloppy in every sense of the word. It actually made me want to walk out of the cinema. I didn't, but I came very close to. So Robin Hood gets the silver medal for my worst films of 2018. But what takes the gold? Here we are at number 1. We are here, the worst of 2018. Honestly, it could have been Robin Hood. I really despise that film, but there was one more film which infuriated me even more than Robin Hood, and that was Kyle Newacheck's Game Over Man, the douchiest film of 2018, starring the trio of guys from Workaholics. This sinfully unfunny comedy enraged me. If you watch my channel frequently, you'll know that I'm a positive person. I always look for the good. But there are certain films like Game Over Man which are completely devoid of anything redeemable, and they just make me angry. Everything about Game Over Man is abhorrent. It's a film that actually pisses on its inspiration, Die Hard, and everything, literally everything about this film disagreed with me. I didn't like any of the leads. I couldn't enjoy this film because none of its 3 leading characters were likable. Its humor is crass, cheap, and juvenile. If you're parodying Die Hard, a film which is 30 years old, then you'll know that the majority of people that have seen it are adults. But the jokes in this are so infantile and obnoxious. It's an insult to anybody that loves Die Hard. And one thing that I could not abide is when a film talks down to you. And that's what this film does. It treats you like a child. thinking it will make you laugh at these gross jokes which sound like they were written by a sexually frustrated teenager. The jokes operate on a level which is so idiotic that it treats you, the audience member, as an idiot. And I hate that. If you treat me like an idiot, it makes me so angry because it's condescending and an insult to me as a movie lover and as a human being. And that's the thing, it's impossible for me to enjoy a film like this because I disagree with it on so many fundamental levels. I don't agree with the ethos of the 3 lead characters. I don't agree with the 3 actors who are also the script writers for this. I don't agree with the director, Kyle Newacek. And I just don't agree with the filmmaker's attitude whatsoever. As you can see, even talking about this film just brings out this really ugly side of me. That's how much I despise this film. So I'm just gonna summarize. Game Over Man is a repugnant, offensive, nauseating, detestable, repulsive film. I try not to say the word hate, but I hate this film. And that's why it gets my #1 spot, the gold medal, for my worst film of 2018. Oh, that felt so good to unload and vent. It's almost therapeutic getting to bitch and moan about crappy films. Those are my top 10 worst of 2018. Guys, let me know what your top 10 worst of 2018 are in that comment section below. If you do like this content, there's loads more coming to you this year, so don't forget to click subscribe, alright? And if you guys want to follow us on Twitter or Instagram, all that info's in that description below. As always, thank you so much for watching, guys. For more things related to movies, TV, and popcorn culture, I'm Luke Hearfield, and I'll see you next time.